back here, Gate City, revenge session from last time. Gonna just play some ABC poker. That's just gonna be tight, aggressive, play my game, and let's run it up. If you don't know the game already, go back and watch Poker Vlog number 19. I'll link it up here. It's a 1-3 match to stack. We're in for 450. Let's run it up. This first 10 we're not even involved in, but I thought I'd include it because it was pretty big. There is a 4-bet shove for over $500 and a snap call, and it's Ace King against Ace Queen. Ace King is going to hold over $1,100 pot here. The chips are flying early on. Seems like it's going to be a good game. For the first hand we get involved with, we are in the big blind. There is a button straddle on for $5, and we peel King 10 suited. In this configuration, going to be opening pretty narrow, so King 10 suited is actually towards the bottom of our opening range here, but still good enough. We're going to open it up to $20. The under the gun player calls. She's the player who just got stacked with Ace Queen. Might be a little bit tilty. The button completes as well, so we're 3 ways to a flop with 60 in the middle, which comes out 10-3-3 two-tone. It's my MO in these multi-way pots out of position to check pretty much my entire range. If I were to bet, I'd choose a small size, but the under the gun player is not choosing a small size at all. She ships her whole stack in for $199. This is over a 3x pot shove. Not quite sure what to make of it. Probably going to call if it gets back to me. But the button player looks interested, and he reaches into his stack to cut out some chips. This is not really what I was expecting to see, but he's going to put in the call. Kind of in a gross spot here, getting a terrific price on our money. Probably not just calling, probably either just shipping or folding, because the button only has about 150 left behind. We have top pair with a good kicker, but pretty much dead to rights against any 3 or a hand like Ace 10. We fold, and we are disgusted to see that under the gun player has 10-9 offsuit. When she shows her hand, we think this probably means that the button is on a club flush draw. So our fold is looking like a bad one until the turn is the 9 of clubs. Under the gun makes 2 pair, and the club draw completes. When the river is the 5 of hearts, the button turns over, Queen 10, so we were ahead on the flop, so we would have gotten our money in good, but the under the gun player would have gotten there on the turn. In the moment, it felt like a good fold, then it felt like a bad fold when I saw their cards, and then a good fold again when I saw the turn. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of it. Are you folding King 10 here? Either way, we dodge a bullet, not to get stacked in our first hand of the session. For this next hand, we're playing 1-3-5 again with the $5 straddle on. We're in the cutoff with Ace 5 of diamonds. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I peel this hand, all I can think is I have to 4-bet bluff. Let's cross that bridge when we get there, though. We're going to start off with a raise to $20. The button is going to put in the call. Blinds get out of the way, so we're heads up to a flop with about $40 in the middle, which is pretty similar to our last flop.
Deja vu.
Either way, it goes check, check, and the turn is the King of Hearts. I decide to go small here, attempting to cap his range. He calls pretty quickly. When he calls so quickly, I think he's going to have a lot of flush draws or maybe some straight draws. So when the 8 of spades comes on the river, I don't think we can go super large with an overbet because I do think he slow plays a 3 some of the time on the turn. So I don't just want to run into the nuts here. So I decided to go for 55 into 70, making it look like I have a hand like Ace King or King Queen. He doesn't think for too long though before putting in the call. We fast roll our bluff loud and proud, and he shows a pretty speculative bluff catch with Ace Jack offsuit. In the future, we're not going to be bluffing this guy anymore, just going super thin for value. Nice hand, sir. We're stuck around $100. In this next hand, we're back in the cutoff. There's no straddle on, and we peel Jack 10 of diamonds. Might be one of the best looking hands in the game. The under the gun player limps. We're of course going to be raising it up. We make it $20 to go. The button gets out of the way. The small blind's on his phone for a bit until he realizes that he has some cards he's like to play. He reaches into his stack and puts in the call. The limper gets out of the way. We're going to go heads up to a flop, which is the best one we could ask for. That's right, it's Ace, King, Queen, all clubs. We flop a royal flush. Well, not really, but we do flop the nuts. It's ace, king, queen, rainbow. When it's checked on over to us, we do a little chip trick and bet out for $25. I absolutely hate this size. We should probably just be using big sizes here, just because on these triple Broadway boards, calling ranges are fairly inelastic and players aren't peeling as much to the small size as they would on other boards. The turn is the 3 of clubs. It brings in our backdoor flush draw, which honestly I would prefer not to hit. The small blind checks to us once more, and again, I think I make a mistake with the sizing here. This is the first value hand I've made in a long time playing poker, so I kind of felt like I wanted to make sure I got paid, but this is the same sticky player from last time, and if we already identified on the flop that he's not peeling super wide, he won't have a lot of hands to fold the turn, so we should probably size up. He calls regardless, and we go to the river, which is the awful jack of hearts. Our hand is no longer disguised. We're also now chopping with hands like ace 10 or king 10, and 2-pair hands like king queen won't want to pay off a large size on the river anymore. I go super small for the milky please call me $50 bet. He calls, of course. He would later tell me that he had ace X of clubs, which just shows how much of a disaster the small size on the flop and the turn are. We're gonna drag this almost $300 pot, but I missed out on what I think is at least $100, if not more, of value. So really upset with the way I played this hand. It's important when you do hand reviews not only to look at pots you're losing, but also ones you're winning. This is one where I left a lot of money on the table. Hey guys, just a quick break from the video here. If you're enjoying it, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I have a couple questions that I want your feedback on. The first is, we have some new graphics on this video. So we have a 4-color deck, you might have noticed, different than the 2-color deck. Let me know, do you prefer the 4-color variation or the classic 2-color variation? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you've noticed, I've taken away the profit tracker where it says how much I've won or lost each hand. Let me know if you guys like this or if you'd like it without better. The last thing I wanted to say is that we have a terrific online room on Club GG. I've been doing fairly well on it over the last few months, and if this fish can make money on the website, so can you. The games are great action. We have a ton of games from micro stakes, mid stakes to high stakes. We have cash games and tournaments, hold'em, PLO, bomb pots, anything you can ask for. We're also doing deposit bonuses, some free rolls, and referral bonuses. So message at JQ Poker on Instagram or Telegram to get started, and let's get back to the video. For this one, we're in the hijack with the best hand in poker, Jack Queen suited. There's a button straddle on. The blinds are going to get out of the way. Middle position player is going to limp. We're going to put in the isolation raise up to $25. The cutoff calls. The button thinks about it before calling as well. Pretty action game, and the middle position player is going to take advantage of that when he 3-bet shoves all in for around $150. It's never fun to fold your favorite hand, but I can read the writing on the wall. He's going to pick up the $75 of dead money here. He would later tell me that he had pocket jacks, but even though I'm not a fan of open limping, there is no right way to play jacks, so credit to him for taking down the money pre-flop. Always sad to fold our favorite hand. On to the next one. The next few orbits go one of 2 ways. The first way is picking up a good hand, opening with said good hand, getting almost the entire table to call, flopping nothing, facing a bet, and then folding to said bet. The second way that it went down is I pick up a pretty speculative hand, I raise said speculative hand, and then I face some aggression in the form of a 3-bet and have to fold said speculative hand. That goes on for a while until we pick up a real hand. We are on the button, and we're going to peel king, queen offsuit. Straddle is on under the gun for $5. The low jack has limped in, as has the cutoff. We're going to make it more money to go. We raise it up to $30. The straddler is going to put in the call. The low jack is going to put in the call, and the cutoff is also going to put in the call. So we go 4 ways with a lot of money in the middle to a flop, which comes out king 7-2 with all the same suit. I wonder what we should call this flop. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, call it monotone, the story ends, you wake up in your bed to a peaceful comment section. You take the red pill, call it monochrome, and you make a joke that only you find funny. Remember, people in the comments will be mad about this. That's right, it's King 7 Deuce Monochrome. It's my video, and I'm going to call it Monochrome as long as I want. The cutoff might be punishing me for that, as he shifts his stack in for $59. I mean, this is about half pots. I was going to bet myself when check 2 anyways, so I don't think I can really fold here. So I decided to put in the call. Not really loving it, but I got top pair with a pretty good kicker. So how bad could it really be? The straddler and the low jack are going to think for a while before getting out of the way. So we're going mano y mano, heads up, with the cutoff player, who has 10-9 of clubs for the flopped flush. We make trips on the river just to rub it in.
Whoa, you got there!
No, he didn't.
And yeah, we're going to lose this nearly $250 pot. Hoping to improve on the last hand with a slightly better kicker here with ace, king offsuit. The low jack raises to 15, the hijack calls. We're of course 3-betting this hand. We like to make it 3x plus the dead money. So that's what I do when I choose a size of $60 in the cutoff. The big blind in this hand is a nice guy who typically plays much higher stakes. It seems like the money doesn't really matter to him when he says this.
I gamble with you.
So he makes a cold call from the big blind. When he says this, I'm pretty sure this is a looser call than normal. So not quite sure what we have to fade, but we're heads up in position in a very large pot. The flop comes out 8-5-3 two-tone. He checks it over to me. I can still have all the overpairs that he probably can't have, like aces and kings, but he's gonna have a lot more sets. Because of this, we're gonna bet small on this board. I choose a size slightly south of 1/3 pot for 45, and he pretty quickly jams it in my face. I'm just not folding to a player who doesn't really care about the money, so I put in the call. We make top pair on the turn. We feel pretty good until the big blind tells us that he has a flush with queen 7 of clubs. Definitely a speculative call pre-flop, but then again, this player was telling me about some 10-20 PLO games he plays in. He probably doesn't really care about this $600 pot. Would have been nice to hold there. If we had held, we would have been about $200 up. Instead, I'm reaching back into my bag and adding on for another $450. This is clearly a very good game. Hopefully the cards can start breaking our way. Moving along, we have the same hand as 3 hands ago. King of diamonds, queen of spades.
Deja vu.
That's right, the dealer isn't shuffling today, but we are 3-betting. Cutoff is made at $15. We're going to 3-bet up to $55. The straddle comes in for a cold call, and the initial raiser folds. So we're heads up, out of position to a flop, which is 8-7-4 rainbow. I actually like checking here, but since the straddle had shown earlier that he is calling with a wider range than normal, I feel like he'll have a lot of air that he'll just fold to this bet. So I bet 30 in game, he calls. The turn is the ace of spades. I actually like barreling this card more than checking, as it's going to be far better for my range than his. So I kind of play this hand backwards, but I check and he checks back, and we see the 6 of diamonds on the river. At this point, I'm pretty much done with the hand. I guess our hand could have some showdown value against like king 10 or king jack. So I decide to check. He thinks about it before he checks back. We turn over king queen offsuit, and we're going to see that we've been rivered by king 6 of clubs. So he called the 3-bet pre-flop very wide. I think if we did check the flop and then size up on the turn, he might be folding, but you never know with guys who call super wide if they're ever folding. So pretty frustrating hand as we lose another one. We play a couple small pots for the next few orbits until our stack is down to $280. We started with 900, so gonna need to get it going back in the right direction. And we have a pretty good hand to do that with. We have pocket jacks in the hijack. The straddle's on the button for $5. Both the blinds are gonna limp, as is the low jack player. We're going to be ISO raising it up here. I choose a large size of $40. Me have good hand, me want to play a big pot, and the button also wants to play a big pot. He calls. Everyone else is going to get out of the way, so we're heads up, out of position, with almost $100 in the middle. Usually when we have jacks, the flop has at least an overcard on it, but it's pretty good. It's 10-8 deuce rainbow. With our range here, we're either checking or mostly betting small. Jacks is pretty much indifferent here between checking, betting small, or betting the larger size. But for consistency, I choose a small size, and you don't want to blink. This part happens very quickly.
That escalated quickly.
He snap shoves and we snap call. I just don't see him doing this with a set. Turn is a 9 and we see that he has ace 10 offsuit. We have 5 outs to fade on the river to win a nearly $600 pot and get oh so close back to the even mark. But for those of you with a keen sense of observation, you can see the river card in the dealer's hand is 4 across. And if we look a little closer, it is indeed the 10 of hearts. The button gets there on the river to suck out. It seems like they're getting whatever they need today. We've been stacked twice after getting it in ahead. It's time to go home. So I want to take a look at the hands, of course, but it really just felt unreasonable tonight. I played for an hour and a half, barely an hour and a half, and in for 900, out for $0. I mean, it just seemed like every river card they were getting. Obviously, the last hand, jacks against the ace 10. We had the king 6 rivering a pair. That cold calls the 3-bet. Right, king queen, 7 flush hands against the ace king. Got the money in good. Other than that, just not really quite sure like what else is going on. Let's take a look at it. I played a couple hands I didn't really like. The jack 10 hand in particular, really hated that. In game, just felt not great. So that sucked. I don't even know, man. Seems like a really unreasonable night. At the tables, I'm running pretty much the same as I run on a track, which is really bad right now. So I don't know. Seems unreasonable though. So I'm not really that upset with the way I played. Just seems like whatever they needed, they got kind of night. So I'm gonna take a look in the solver and all that stuff. But yeah, wasn't spewy, wasn't tilty. Fine with how I played. Just eventually we'll start hitting some cards, I guess. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support as always. Going to be a short vlog, I assume, today. Other than that, again, thank you guys for watching and good luck at the tables. Hopefully, much better than mine. Make sure to subscribe, and if you liked this video, I'm sure you'll also like this one.